Hello everybody, my name is Strawberry, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a more recent anime than I usually talk about. Also, side note, I got a new headset, so if the sound quality is a bit different, a bit wonky maybe, just blame that. I don't have the money for a mic yet. So eventually, when I do get a mic, I will definitely make a whole community post, a big hoopla about it. But for now, let's just stick to the topic of the video. The anime I'm going to be talking about today is Bocchi the Rock. Now, some of you may have seen this already. A vast majority of you haven't, seeing as my viewers are my friends, and my friends absolutely hate, slice of life for some unknown reason. I can't explain it. Y'all explain yourselves, because y'all don't make sense. Now, what is there to talk about Bocchi the Rock? You may be thinking that, what is Bocchi the Rock about, since a vast majority of my friends, aka my only viewers, haven't seen Bocchi the Rock. Well, Bocchi the Rock is about this girl named Hitori, and Hitori, she has social anxiety. You may find this, a bit similar to one other anime. Komi can't communicate. And you would be right to say that. Because, well, yes, it is very similar to Komi Can't Communicate in that sense. But the thing that sets it apart from Komi Can't Communicate, in my opinion, is that they actually write social anxiety as a problem for the main character, rather than a sort of side piece, like a piece of information that just happens to be there that does not pertain to the story. Now, you may be wondering why I'm saying that, and, well, if you are, then it's not really that hard to explain, because if you've watched, anything about Komi Can Communicate, especially in the later episodes, that they don't do anything with the whole social anxiety thing, apart from make it hard for Komi to speak, I suppose, which you could say does portray social anxiety to a certain degree. I personally think that degree is only so far, because people find it hard to talk, and I can definitely say there are definitely people who find it hard to talk because of their anxiety. I'm not saying that those people don't exist. But the thing is, that's the extent of where Komi Can Communicate takes social anxiety as a topic. Like I said, it does nothing more with it than a side piece of information that doesn't pertain to the show as a whole. And you can really see this dichotomy, especially in the earlier episodes of Komi Can Communicate, because in the first episode, when Komi befriends Tadano, then, that actually provides some sort of conflict due to the social anxiety. Because Tadano has, he's trying to communicate, but Komi can't communicate. And so eventually they find themselves communicating in a way where Komi is comfortable, aka writing. And of course, we see Komi throughout the whole manga, and I don't know, for at this point, we're gonna see her talk with a notebook until, she gets married to Tadano, for all I care. But the point is that we don't see it beyond a lack of communication verbally. We can see that, she has some anxious thoughts about what other people think. Sure, we can see that there are some anxious thoughts about, not being able to do this or that. Sure, but that's it. Now, I've said my piece about Komi Can't Communicate. Let's take it on over to Bocchi the Rock. Now, what Bocchi the Rock does different in terms of representing social anxiety is that not only does it give us a more accurate depiction, instead of being the little statue everyone looks up to, Bocchi is essentially invisible. No one notices her, and she's always wanted friends. She's just never made those friends, right? That's something there you can build off on, and they do build off on it, because she is basically borderline hikokomori. Those who wish for me to explain, she's basically a shut-in, like any of my Persona fans. Basically, she's like Futaba, but before the palace, where you free her from her internal thoughts about her being the reason her mother died, you know? Basically, she's a shut-in. She doesn't do anything, but you might be thinking, where does the rock part come in? Well, the rock part comes in when she basically sees a band on TV once, and they talk about how they used to be anxiety-filled people as well, but they found music and making it as a band, performing it, to be a great outlet and a great way to be more confident. So, Bocchi wants to follow that example, which makes sense, you know? So she basically takes up her dad's old guitar, learns to play it, makes a YouTube channel where she makes a bunch of covers and whatnot, and she's relatively, well, not satisfied, because she hasn't made any friends, she doesn't have anyone to be in a band with then, and, you know, she's only gotten about halfway to her goal, if you'd want to say, because her YouTube channel grows pretty big, right? Yeah. Her YouTube channel is her way of being the band that she saw on that TV once, right? And so, to an extent, yes. And she sees all the positive comments in her videos as the closest thing she'll get to the praise of the, you know, of people live in concert venues and whatnot, because deep down inside, her motives are pretty selfish. She admits that herself. Her motives are basically that she wants to get famous, but of course, you know, that comes with wanting to be a star, because being famous to her would give her the confidence to be more social and be more out there. Now we see Bocchi at the beginning of the anime trying to make people talk to her, which can only get you so far, of course. Those of you who have tried that, including myself, can definitely say from experience that most of the time people will not come to talk to you about whatever it is you want them to talk about, and of course sometimes you'll just have to suck it up and start the conversation yourself. But Bocchi's whole plan was basically to bring her guitar to school so that people would talk to her about it, and then in her mind, someone would eventually come up to her and be like, "Oh, you look like such a rock star. Oh, do you play? Blah, 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 blah." And that's how she would make her friends and find a band. But she doesn't end up being talked to by anyone until later after school, where she's sulking in a playground on the swings, because, of course, this is a slice of life anime. We need a shot of the main character sulking on a swing set, where she meets the members, or, well, the leader of the band she would soon join, which, basically, she's just like, "Oh, you're a guitar player? Can we borrow you really quickly? We just need you to play. We have a performance. We got dropped out, like our guitarist drop out. We need blah, 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 blah." And basically, her anxiety not letting her say no basically gets her into the band. And when they play, they have their whole performance. It's not the best performance, but it's a performance. And of course, that she finally has a band. She's really happy about it, right? And then I won't get too much more into the plot, but now that I've explained the plot a bit, we are shown that the anxiety in Bocchi the Rock seems like more of a problem, because, okay, of course you can say, because obviously, that there was no real reason for Bocchi to be caught up in the band that she would soon join, unless she had the guitar, and technically her plan worked out. It's just she didn't expect it to work out in the way it did, and, well, that doesn't really matter, because it worked out, didn't it? but we can see that while Bocchi definitely is enjoying it, she still has to face the anxiety while being a member of the band, because being a member of the band, she is just like, oh, okay, we're making our way to become this famous band, I'm gonna become this famous guitarist, blah blah blah, right? But she still has to figure out how to deal with other non-musically related problems, such as getting a job to help fund the band's endeavors or trying to sell tickets. Now, as we see Bocchi struggle in the anime, I think her anxiety is portrayed a lot better also by the creative freedom that the animators were given by the director, because the visuals of Bocchi the Rock are what I would come to say is the peak of anime. Because, in my personal opinion, they do so many creative visual references and scenes that are references because of the animator's love and passion for certain things, to the point where I can literally say, without anything like factually wrong about this, that Bocchi is a JoJo reference because there is a Killer Queen, well, technically a Bites the Dust reference in Bocchi the Rock. I'll play for you some of those clips now too, so that you can understand what I am saying, but basically what I want to say before then is that while Komi Can't Communicate doesn't have the same creative direction, the creative passion that Bocchi the Rock has, I can say for certain that Komi Can't Communicate still has in terms of style, the more, I'd say, my personal more favored art style, because of the way they switch between the low quality Komi and the really pretty Komi up close visuals. But, you know, since they don't do that with anyone else, it's definitely more interesting. It just doesn't really do anything beyond being an interesting little gag.
この扱いのさ、明日のライブが今から想像できる。父ですか、妹絹、父ですか、妹絹、父ですか、妹絹。ぼっちちゃん。よいしょ。重長すぎない？え？だいたいこんな感じですよ。ありがとうございます。お父さん！ やってんの？やっぱりすごかったわ。北さん、すみません。後藤さん？後藤さん！私もギターとベースがちゃおうかな。みんなは一人のために。一人はみんなのために。約1ヶ月、体育祭のためだけに生きることを強いられる拷問行為。みんなは一人のために。 後藤さん、溶けちゃいましたね。
お客様に不快感を与えたでしょうで、死刑を求刑する。それでは判決、死刑。こうなるに決まってる。体育祭を盛り下げたでしょうで、死刑。
石の裏とかに張り付いているのですわ。ナチュラルに鬼畜だな。こうして後藤一人は灰となり、もう二度とギターを持つことはなかったのでした。ぼっちちゃん、死んじゃった。新しいギタリスト、探さないとですね。
Now, that's all I really have to say about Bocchi the Rock, because, well, there isn't much else I can say that makes it better than Komi, in my personal opinion, because while I still love Komi Can't Communicate for its entertainment value, Bocchi the Rock does so much better representing social anxiety that I felt like this was a very interesting thing that I'd want to make a video about because, well, it's a really interesting thing that I wanted to make a video about. Now before I leave, I will give you an update to the waifu ranking top 3 that I have been so graciously talking about. As you know in the last video, Naoto Shirogane absolutely just dethroned Futaba Sakura for top 3 spot. And for the number 2 spot, Komi's just been absolutely demolished by one character from Bocchi the Rock, Ryo Yamada. I can't really describe it, but the best way I can is similar to Yusuke from Persona 5, where she's sort of reserved, quiet, and weird. And I think there's just something about that is really entertaining. And like Yusuke, she is also broke. And I don't know, I think the comedy aspects that come from her being bad with money also are really interesting. So yeah, Komi, probably 4 spot, Futaba moved down to 5, and then Ryo Yamada at number 2. So the top 3 right now, Jiro, Ryo, then Naoto Shirogane. So yeah,